Hey, welcome to Genre Exposure, a film podcast. Join us as we explore the wide world of cinema, broadening our horizons one movie at a time. I'm one of your hosts, Dustin, and as usual, I am here with Jason.
Hey, everybody.
What is up, my guy?
Hanging out, doing cool stuff as usual.
I'm glad you're doing cool stuff.
I'm really not. I'm trying to sound cool. Mostly I'm just like working and failing to watch movies.
Better than me.
Yeah, you've been sick.
Yes, we missed another episode drop for the same reason. The only other time we've ever missed one. Me
Illness.
Getting debilitatingly sick.
His weak genes.
My weak genes. I'm weak. I'm soft. It's all this wokeness I'm embracing.
Yep.
Making me
that's
weak
it,
and
man.
soft.
Oh, God.
And soy filled.
You.
You just hear me over here sloshing every time I shift when we're recording.
Well, I'm glad you're feeling better.
I am feeling better. I'm glad we're here. I'm glad we're talking about this. It has slipped us into October, so welcome all the spooky times.
We're here, and that is a reason to celebrate.
It is a reason to celebrate.
So it is currently, as we are recording, it is nice and drizzly and dark outside.
It is literally right now, as we speak, a dark and stormy night.
It is.
Mostly that's because there is a powerful hurricane about to rock the United States, but
Right.
Take what we can get, I guess.
At least we're just getting rain from it.
Hopefully everyone will be okay.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody stay safe.
Thing I want to get up top before we get into this episode today, because this should have come out a week before, want to make sure everyone remembers to swing by our pals at Unsung Horrors and check out their Horror Gives Back thing that they do every year. Mm-hmm. It's a simple little thing. You can join in if you want. You watch a movie a day in October, check out some cool horror films, and then you set a pledge amount and you donate an amount at the end of the month to a charity. I think they usually do the Best Friends Animal Shelter.
A worthy charity.
Join them in that or do your favorite charity of choice. They have a curated list where every day they give you a prompt. Gives you a topic, maybe a genre, a certain director, a theme, which you can follow, and that's very fun to do. Or you can just fucking freewheel it and just pick whatever you want to watch. It doesn't matter. But it's a chance for us goodly horror fans to defy these stereotypes and help a good cause.
That's right. We really are a cuddly bunch.
So go check that out. As always, show them some love. And also show some love to the Prescribed Films Podcast Network, which we are a part of, and we love it. There's all kinds of other cool shows you can check out to find you more films to get into this Halloween season.
Well said.
And all that being said, we today are talking about a brand spanking new film that just came out literally like a few months ago.
A YouTube's film,
Milk and Cereal from 2024, directed by Curry Barker. It's one of our favorite subgenres here on the show, found footage.
We do tend to come back to it.
We do tend to, yes. So we'll get into that, and I'm excited to talk about it. This was getting a lot of hype, and that's why I picked it. I wanted to see, is it living up to it, or is it another Skinamarink?
Spoiler: it is not a Skinamarink.
The fact they didn't fast track it into cinema for a quick buck is maybe your hint that.
Yeah, well, who says they won't?
This one would play great, I think, in theaters, but we'll get into that. I want to know what you've been watching. You told me before we started recording you've had some bombs lately, so.
Yeah, I just haven't been able to watch as many films lately, but I did finally check out Alex Garland's Civil War.
Oh, okay.
Which definitely veers into the realm of horror and possible documentary.
I mean, I heard that he didn't pick a side, so I don't want to see it. That's really all I cared about.
Yeah, because the whole movie is about journalists chronicling the Civil War. It's supposed to not be about taking sides.
I mean,
it's
if he
supposed
didn't
to be about observing,
endorse someone, then I don't know. What's that say?
Well, the most far-fetched part about the movie is that California and Texas would ever come together on anything.
That's how you know it's fantasy.
Yeah, right. But as you would expect, it's a very well-made movie. It's a very pretty movie.
As he tends to do.
It's not my favorite of his, but it is definitely well worth watching. And it actually didn't go as hard as I thought it might. It wasn't quite as unflinching and shocking as I thought it might have been. Or I could just be completely fucking jaded.
No, I think there was a general vibe I saw out of people when it was in theaters that was a little more subdued.
Yeah.
And I think that's the joke I'm making is everybody wanted it to be that very raw,
right.
in your face about it thing.
But I mean, I think it's good he didn't do that because then it could have veered into exploitation.
Yeah.
You know.
And he's good at that. He's good about being subtle. Look at some of the other films, especially Men. is a great example.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I still haven't seen that.
Oh God,
I know.
That's a
I
great
know.
film.
I'm so fucking far behind on movies, dude. It's sad. What did I
else?
talk about recently? Have I talked about anything else? What did I talk about last time? Wait a minute. Hang on. I got something.
I've been laying on a couch and hacking my lungs up and praying that it's nothing severe.
Let's see.
Well, here's the thing. We went through a Friday the 13th. What did you partake?
Yeah. I had some friends over. We watched part 6.
Oh.
And then they were complaining about the lack of boobs, so I popped in part 4.
Hell yeah, that's my 2 favorites.
Yeah, so that was a good time.
I swerved a little bit because I couldn't make it out to your little shindig. Mm-hmm. I thought, well, since I'm not going to be there, let me pick the ones I know we wouldn't watch that I enjoy. So I revisited the old Jason Goes to Hell, Final Friday.
Of course you did.
And because I got that stinger with, the Kruger Claw coming up out the ground, I was like, let's just go into Freddy versus Jason. Why not?
Sure. How was that?
Fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're not the best, but, enjoyable. Plenty of flaws, plenty of fun parts.
Mm-hmm. A few fun parts for part 9. You know how I feel about that one.
Had fun. Also had fun because Tiffany had never seen Jason Goes to Hell, and she wasn't really trying to watch it, and then she kind of got roped in because she was like, the fuck is going on in this movie?
Yeah, that's a very good question.
Yeah.
It's one I ask every time I see it.
And she kept being like, where's Jason? I was like, that person is Jason.
Yeah.
Like,
See,
when can
can't
you
you
do
tell? Isn't that Jason? He's been doing this the whole time.
She was also very taken aback by, why did I just forget his name? The fucking bounty hunter guy.
Creighton Duke?
Yeah, Creighton Duke. Because she's like, who the fuck is
the
he?
only good character?
We've never seen this guy. How does he know all this shit?
Right, he knows all this lore.
I was like, oh, you neophyte. You haven't embraced it yet.
I got to side with Tiffany on this one.
As do many, I'm sure.
So what else you been watching?
Nothing else for you besides that?
No, I think I talked about Beetlejuice, right?
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
And because you talked about it, my first film I want to talk about is Beetlejuice.
No, you went to go see it? Oh, yeah, you did. I remember that. Yeah. You were less kind to it than I am, right?
I didn't like it that much, to be honest.
It's very fair.
It's very average. It's very generic. It's not funny, is its biggest problem.
Yeah, it lacks that Burton energy. It lacks the energy of the first one. Yeah, and it may be unfair to expect that because Michael Keaton's older, Tim Burton's older.
Sure.
But at the same time, it's like you should be able to manage some energy.
You got all the pieces there.
Yeah.
And your new people are all great. Willem Dafoe in the mix, Jenna Ortega. So it's, I don't know. I don't know what to say. But it's like...
I don't know, man. I think Jenna Ortega is a little bit bland, especially in this. I mean, she's gorgeous.
I would say underutilized almost. So my biggest problems were like way too many plots going on. We've got, death in the family, bringing them back together. We've got a strange mother-daughter thing going on. We've got crazy ghost serial killer trying to get into the real world by manipulating Astrid. We've got Beetlejuice's former wife coming back to try to get revenge on him.
Yeah, we got a bunch of disparate plot points that never come together and then are dealt with immediately.
Yes. It spends all the time setting this up, and then it spends like 10 minutes resolving everything.
Yeah, as soon as the chick and Beetlejuice meet up, it's done immediately.
And there's no interaction. There's no talking about that.
Yeah. And she looks cool, but she doesn't get to do shit.
She looks cool, and because she's currently Tim Burton's main squeeze, we get a long segment that's like glorifying her about how awesome she is.
Well,
with music and her like zipping and stitching herself up together.
I'm okay with that.
But it's just wasted time. Man.
It is wasted time. There's a lot of wasted time.
Especially after I watched Milk and Cereal for this episode, and it's just 60 minutes, and it just fucking goes and just bop 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 bop. It's everything.
Right.
And I'm like, dude, this is like even for what was it? It's 105 minutes. So much wasted time, and just God. I don't know. And the funniest person was Willem Dafoe's character, Wolf.
He steals every fucking scene. He's Willem Dafoe.
Legitimately had me like raucously laughing.
Because he plays a actor who died doing his own stunts, and he always played this cop character. So in the afterlife, he becomes a cop.
Yeah, Wolf Jackson.
Yeah, but he's like reading off cue cards and shit.
They give him like a sexy secretary that's like super supportive of him.
Yeah.
Like I just want to spin off about him now.
Right, I just want to watch him.
And it's sad because like Keaton does amazing. He's great as Beetlejuice.
He had some really good lines here and there. I love his origin story, the flashback when it becomes a Mario Bava movie for like 5 minutes. That was the best fucking part.
That was awesome.
But yeah, it's pretty disappointing.
Very hollow. And then like I don't know. I felt like Lydia's just kind of there. Like, it really should have been more going on with her.
I agree.
She kind of is just like passive to everything. And,
Yeah, but she was good.
mm-hmm.
I mean, Winona Ryder brings it.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, it should have been more about her and less about the daughter. And I don't
know. They should have condensed some of that and cut some stuff. I don't know.
Yeah.
But the one prop I'll give it is what you said last time, which is that as a like modern reboot sequel-y thing, it is more faithful to the original than a lot of other franchises have attempted.
Right.
Because it wasn't like Ghostbusters, where it was just like them being nostalgic about Ghostbusters.
Remember this? You're a Ghostbuster fan. You love Ghostbusters.
It felt like a proper, legitimate, in-spirit sequel to Beetlejuice. It just didn't happen to be good.
Yeah.
Just the part they messed up on.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's unfortunate.
Oh, well.
But I got a cool thing to talk about, too. This is, shout out one of my online internet friends. I have this forum of like people that were like into anime and stuff, and it goes way back. I'm not going to get into the story of it, but one of them recently turned me on to an old 80s anime OVA I had never seen before. So I'm just going to use his handle and say, shout out Lawman, love you, dude. Thanks for sending this my way. So I checked out from 1987, Shin Majenden, Battle Royale High School, or True Demon Legend, Battle Royale High School.
It sounds like an 80s OVA for sure.
It does, yes. And it's exactly 60 minutes. It's adapting a manga. The manga ran for, I think, like 4 volumes or so. So, I don't know. That would have been like a decently long like anime series if you tried to animate it. But instead, they took the entire plot of the entire thing and condensed it into 60 minutes. And it's fucking insane. So it's like set at a high school. It focuses on this karate club. And their like main dude, his name is Hyodo Riki. And he decides he's going to quit and go and be like a professional underground fighter. And so he kicks the ass of like everyone in the karate club. And then he's just like, you know, what's good? I'm going to go like fight like street gangs and stuff now and be awesome and be a badass.
Sure.
And he's got like the childhood friend, and she's also in the karate club, and she kind of likes him, but he kind of doesn't notice it. And then there's like the idol girl of the school that everyone loves, and she has a crush on him, but he doesn't pay any attention to her. And it seems like a lot of good like high school martial arts fighting hijinks. But that's not even what it's about, because what it's actually about is there's a separate realm that's a demon realm, and there's this evil dark lord that exists there, and he decides that he's going to take over the human world and conquer it, and dispatches his minions to go like begin the invasion. And it gets very like Urotsuki Doji-y kind of thing,
minus the graphic violence and sex.
Yeah,
right?
which is weird, because when the demons start showing up, it's very much like in that vein of like they're kind of just like goopy masses of claws and tentacles, and if there is a woman present, they do get very rapey, but it just never goes to the sex part. So then we get into that plot, and then we get into all this craziness of like the main dude is like the real world counterpart of the demon lord guy from the demon realm, and they're like twin souls that are separated by different universes, and then they like get fused together and like are in the same body and have their powers amplified, and then it gets into all this stuff of like, oh, also here's this other guy who's like a demon slayer, and he has random like magic and sword skills that he learned, and he shows up because he's like, oh, the demons are invading, I have to stop this. And at the same time, there's a space station up above the planet that no one knows about that is like this weird like interdimensional like reality time patrol thing, where when they detect like a disturbance is going to mess up the flow of history, they like intervene and try to stop it. So they dispatch one of their agents down to the city because they're like, hey, the demon realm and the earth realm are merging, and it's going to fuck everything up. You got to go down there. So he's in the mix, and he's like a fucking like Kamen Rider type character where he can transform into like an armored robot suit and fight. And it's just a little bit of setup for like 10 minutes, and then the whole rest of the time is just fucking crazy over the top fights. Very like lavishly animated and just ridiculousness.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Sounds like my kind of thing.
Yeah, it was insane. It was super crazy, super fast, super snappy, super fun, and ridiculous. Now, the sad part is this is hard to track down. It had an English release. It came out on VHS, Laserdisc, and allegedly DVD.
I probably saw it in the Suncoast back in the day, but there was so much
I'm sure there was.
anime.
And the cover's kind of bland, and they just made the title be Battle Royale High School, which is a little generic.
Yeah.
When you don't have that true demon legend at the front.
Sure.
But man, it's so cool. I encourage people to check it out, especially if you like those over-the-top 80s like anime stuff going on, demons, fighting, lots of gore, lots of craziness.
Awesome.
I watched this because someone made a rip of the Laserdisc that's out there floating on the internet. And it's actually one where, like, I guess the Laserdisc only had the English dub they made. So you don't even have the original Japanese audio. But it's great because it's one of those dubs that was, like, early days, and it's fucking hilarious. And they do the thing where for no reason they put in extra curse words to try to make it edgier.
Sure.
So that also makes it just, like, more funny and more entertaining.
Okay.
I couldn't find the DVD. I couldn't even find, like, an eBay listing to, like, pick it up myself or anything. I don't know if maybe one of these modern companies would like to rescue this and put it out. Probably not a lot of money to be had there, but I would fucking buy it. So.
I'm sure you would.
If you like weird, crazy anime, go hunting. You can find it.
It's like something that would be like a cool part of a box set.
Yeah.
Maybe like short-lived,
like a bunch
animes,
of one episode OVAs. Yeah.
Because so many started and they just petered out. So cool.
I feel you.
Excellent.
All right. Well, let's get into our movie. All right, so today we're talking about Milk and Cereal from this year on YouTube. You can go watch it right now if you want to.
Right this fucking minute.
This fucking minute.
Press pause.
Yes.
Go to YouTube. Search it, watch it, then come back.
This was written, directed, masterminded by Curry Barker. He's been making short films since a young age. Eventually moved to LA to pursue a career in the entertainment industry. Went to film school, made some friends there. They kind of worked together. They do a social sketch comedy channel called That's a Bad Idea. He's made a few short films that are also on YouTube you can check out, like The Chair. But this is his first feature.
Feature being 62 minutes long, but
still counts.
It's a good length for this movie.
It is. Made on a budget of allegedly $800. Technically even better than that because they part of that budget was to buy the camera for the film, and they sold it when they finished.
I made like a profit on that, didn't they?
Yeah. So I think they were like at $100 or something in the end. Just I'm sure Blumhouse is just like awooga.
Yeah. Well,
the profits. Let me hit you with the synopsis, I guess.
Okay. Do it.
A surprise birthday party prank takes a turn for the worse when a popular social media duo must face the reality of the terrifying aftermath. Nice and simple.
What genre do you think this is?
Well, IMDb says horror thriller, which is fair. I think we need that old psychological thriller in there, though, because there's some mind games going on.
I could see that. And, of course, found footage.
Found footage, yes.
Subgenre.
Definitely.
Which, for all of its faults, it really is one of my favorite formats.
It is. And, it can be, the shittiest found footage film, and I'll still be like, I don't know. I watched it. It was fine.
Yeah.
There's worse ways to pass an hour.
Definitely. All right. So, we open with the movie, and, it's found footage. It's basically the setup is that it's a YouTube prank channel.
Yeah, Prank Bros.
Prank Bros, which, oh my god, I have no fucking patience for those channels and those people. I really don't. Like Jackass. I was never a huge Jackass. I like the stunts. Yeah. I love it when they hurt each other, but I hate the pranks. I hate it when they're just bothering innocent people trying to go about their business. It's just so cringe and so uncomfortable. I fucking hate it.
And this film definitely leans into a thing that there's some more modern films that have done this. I thought of Deadstream.
Yeah,
it came out a year or two ago.
Yeah,
where they focus on the weird kind of world that is people that make YouTube videos.
Yeah,
and that kind of acknowledgement that in some ways to the average viewer they are sort of fucking obnoxious.
Yeah, and borderline sociopathic.
Yeah,
if not completely sociopathic.
And I like that people are saying let's explore this.
Yeah. Yeah, and this movie might take that idea of the sociopathy to an extreme.
Which is cool. But yeah, so it's two friends. They go by nicknames, Milk and then Seven. And I think later we get a little info on each of that, but we'll save that as far as why they have their nicknames. But they are the Prank Bros.
Yes.
Super popular YouTubers. All they do is just elaborate pranks. And they're to the part now where they clearly are getting like, money out of this, and they're using that money to invest and do like more and more and more elaborate pranks and building up and escalating every time.
Right. So it starts off immediately with 7. He's like, okay, it's Milk's birthday, and we're going to do this epic prank on him. Follow us as we set this up. We're going to behind the scenes look. This is what we're doing.
I'm going to show you everything I'm doing behind the scenes.
Yeah. So he and a couple of his buddies.
Oh, which to say, Milk is played by Curry Barker, and then 7 is Cooper Tomlinson.
Okay, great. And so he and a couple of his buddies, I think it's Naomi. Yeah, Naomi and Link. Is that what they call him?
Yeah, they call him Link.
Yeah.
And Link is often their like cameraman guy.
Yeah.
They're doing stuff too.
So they go off and meet this sketchy looking dude in a van
Yeah.
out in this parking lot.
Their goal is to buy a gun with blanks.
Yes.
It's part of the stunt.
Yes. So, 7 says he met this guy in the black market, and they like have the guy's face blurred out, and he's like, "Hey, don't film me."
Yeah, he gets pissed immediately. He's like, "Hey, don't bring a camera in here, dude. What are you doing?"
But they were surreptitiously filming anyway. And they're in the back of his van, and he's like showing them this 9mm, or no, it's a 45.
Yeah. And immediately it sets such a good tone because
Yeah.
they're like, "Is it work? Is it gonna work? And is it good?"
And he's like, "Oh yeah, well, watch this, bye." And he shoots himself in the head, but it's a blank, and he's not dead. So that's part of the prank. Freaks everybody out. Although I must stop here.
Okay.
And say with a blank, you do not want to do that.
It's
It
dangerous.
could still fucking kill you because it's still ejecting a bunch of gas and shit. So people have literally died doing that. So don't do that. Anyway,
They make the purchase. And I like how 7 kind of backs off on this because they're like, "Ooh, black market," and he's like, "Shut up! I just met him on Craigslist."
yeah,
But he's still kind of vague about that, whether he's sincere or not.
pretty vague.
Then we get some more setup stuff where they introduce like the idea of a squib and what that is and how those work.
Yeah, he calls it a quib at first.
Yeah.
Like, no, it's a squib. It's a squib. But yeah, you know what a squib is. In the movies, it goes off, blood comes out, blah. That's how they do gunshots. At least that's how you should do gunshots, not fucking shitty CG plug-in effects.
Yes.
So then we get to the party, and they got a bunch of friends over. They're having a good time.
And one of the other setups is 7 brings in another person to the party that Milk doesn't know.
Yes, his name's Jason, right? Excellent name. Good manly name.
Yep. Great name.
And since Milk doesn't know him, yes, he's playing a part in this prank. We're not exactly sure what.
We learn he's actually a friend of 7's from school. He's like an acting student. And he was like the perfect pick to play this role, basically.
Yeah. So everybody's having a good time. There's kind of one telling part where they're talking about like they're playing Never Have I Ever, and Milk admits that he killed an animal.
Yeah, because it's that question. It's like, have you ever killed an animal before? And
one dude's like, "Hello, hunting," you know.
Yeah, and then Naomi has, I guess it's her girlfriend, right?
Yeah.
Lisa.
Laura.
Was it Laura? Yeah, it's Laura. Laura, yeah. Played by Gloria Carell. And then Naomi is Adley Torres. But one of them says like, "Oh, well, I was driving once and something ran out in the road.
You hit a bunny, yeah.
I hit the bunny. I couldn't do anything about it. I felt so bad."
I don't think that counts for this game, but yeah.
And then Milk just kind of drops the finger and they're like, "Well, what did you do?" And he's like, "I killed a cat."
Right. And you don't know if he's joking or not, you know, because he's got that sense of humor, that weird, you know, kind of.
And he doesn't clarify or like offer the story. He just, I killed a cat once.
And they're like, you know, why? And he says it because it's something you're not supposed to do. So that's okay. You know, either he's fucking with them or there's something wrong with this guy.
It's one of those true crime checklist things.
Yeah, right.
So they're playing music. They're just having a good time, joking around.
And that's when Jason arrives.
Yep.
Using a pseudonym, even though Milk has never met him before.
But that's part of the prank.
And it's like, "Hey, bud, you're here. I'm glad you can make it. Come on in. This is Milk. It's his birthday." And Milk's pissed because it's like, "I don't know this guy." And then we cut to him and 7 talking in the bedroom in private, you know. Milk's like, I don't know this guy. Why'd you invite him? And then we hear like this commotion downstairs. Everybody's yelling. They run down, and this new guy has a gun out and shoots Naomi.
Yep. Seemingly kills her.
Yeah. Script goes off. Milk freaks out. And then they're like, oh, ha, ha, prank. We got you. Got you, motherfucker. And yeah, he obviously wasn't expecting it. It's this good prank.
Sorry, guys, you got me. But then there's a knock at the door.
Knock at the door, and apparently a neighbor is there upset about all the noise.
It's school night. He's got kids, and they've got school.
And we don't see the guy at first. He's in focus. I guess, I don't know, he's out of the camera. He's too close for something.
He's
out of focus. He says he's got kids, need to go to school in the morning, and they're like, oh, we're sorry, we'll keep it down. But then he just comes into the apartment, kind of walks around.
I love it, too. He, like, stares down each person in there a little bit. And
he's an older guy, you know, disheveled. That's the sort of guy you want just coming into your house.
Yeah.
We don't like old people. That was a joke.
And I like it because up to this point, you're still kind of not sure where this film is going.
Yes.
And there's like good red herrings and a lot of like in this guy, he's a very good red herring until they start to pull back on it. But
right, and that's one of my criticisms of the movie. But yeah, so this guy walks around and he leaves, and I'm like, holy shit, that guy was fucking weird. So Milk and a couple of his friends aren't done yet. They go down to the 7-Eleven to get some more party supplies. They're walking back toward the house, but there's the guy standing outside.
And Milk immediately is like, huh, you guys.
Yeah, you're pranking me again, you know?
He's like, you're not going to get me twice.
Yeah.
Man. You can't.
Yeah, because he thought that the dude was part of the prank earlier. So he's walking up to him and say, you know, he's like, he flips his hat off of his head. And I was like, you know, go away, man. You know, fuck you.
And I love it because Naomi's like, oh my God, we're so sorry for our friend. He's not in his right mind right now.
Yeah.
He's had a lot to drink. Just, you know, forgive him.
And the guy's looking pissed, you know. But then the next morning, Milk is waking up 7, and he's like, he's got the camera on him, and 7's even like, why are you filming? What the fuck? And I was like, you got to come downstairs. Someone's here. And they go down, and the old dude's just sitting on the couch.
Yep, just hanging out there.
Yeah. So they're trying to interact with him, trying to, hey, you know, what are you doing? You know, you shouldn't be in here. Then the guy just gets up, walks off. Oh, he disappears. That's right. Because they go to another room to talk for a minute. Like, what the fuck are we going to do? You know?
Yeah, and we get a good, like, this is very Blumhousey, but I like it. It's like you can see the hall behind them, and he kind of crosses, like, room to room behind them.
And the door's locked from the inside. So it's like he's still obviously in the apartment. So they're looking around for him, and they find him up in the bedroom. And then he's kind of blubbering and talking about how he's actually a girl, but it's too late for him. You know, he's wasted his life, and there's no future. And he brings out a gun.
He just wants to end it all.
And he's about to shoot himself, but Milk jumps in, grabs the gun, and they finally get him under control.
And Milk kind of talks to him in private for a little bit. Kind of tries to just, you know, talk him down and try to reassure him. And finally, the dude decides to leave. Yeah. But after he leaves, Milk reveals, you know, hey, I told him we would come and have dinner with him.
Yeah, we're gonna have dinner with him.
Kind of just like an apology thing to make it up with him.
Yeah.
So instead, it's just like, dude, what the fuck are you talking about? This is crazy.
But then Naomi stops by, and she's all upset because Laura broke up with her via text.
Yeah, which isn't really like her.
It's pretty shitty. Yeah. So they're trying to comfort her and shit. They take her out shopping. They're going to get like a bottle of wine to the old dude's house.
Yep.
And they're complaining that it's pricey, even though it's like $30 or something. I'm like, okay, whatever. So then we cut to them at the Frank is his name, in his apartment. He doesn't like the camera on at first, but he says, "Oh, we're not recording. I just take this with me wherever I go."
They do the old like it's in the bag with the bags unzipped kind of trick.
So they're talking a little bit about their childhood, how they got their nicknames and shit like that.
So Milk says that he loves to drink milk.
Yeah.
They always keep like 2 to 3 jugs of it in the fridge.
Which, is that odd? I don't think that's
Not
odd.
that odd.
I like milk.
It's a good nickname. Actually, back in the day, should I tell this story? I don't know.
Do it.
Okay, I will. Whatever. I don't even know where this person is now. When we were doing like back in the day, and I was in a punk band growing up, in the old like high school and the college times, in the like local punk scene, there was a dude who was like very central to everything, and helped with like organizing shows and stuff like that. And he went by the nickname Milk.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. Was there a reason for this? So you were found out?
Oh, so should I even tell this? I don't know. There
Is
was
it
like
off
a
color?
You know what? It's been years. I don't care. I'm gonna tell it.
Do it.
We played this show with him and like a bunch of other bands, and it was this whole like big put together thing for charity, and the goal of it was to raise money to then like buy and renovate a spot and open an all ages club for punk bands to play at and stuff like that. Because there weren't really like most of it was like bars at that time.
Right.
There wasn't really like a good all ages venue for something like that.
Right.
And so we did the show. My band played in it among like 30 other bands. It was super cool. A lot of cool bands there. Don't know where half of them are now. Probably all petered out like mine did, but whatever. It was fun. And then we raised a ton of money. And then the Milk dude like fucking vanished and went to another state with all the money.
Holy shit. That's a lot of milk money.
Yeah, I don't know where he is. I don't know what's going on with them. So there you go.
Oh, speaking of punk, though, I did neglect to mention something fun I did. I went to a Descendants and Circle Jerks concert.
Hell yeah.
Which was a lot of fun.
I'm more into the Descendants myself between the two, but...
Yeah, Circle Jerks are fun, but the Descendants are better.
I like them too.
Yeah. But it was really cool because the lead singer of the Circle Jerks, like, he would do like 3 or 4 songs, and he's like, okay, I'm going to talk to you now because I'm almost 70 and I got to catch my breath. But he had all these great stories of the late 70s, early 80s punk scene.
That's awesome.
He even mentioned Chris D of the Flesh Eaters.
Ooh.
And they played a song that he co-wrote. And it was fucking kicked ass, too. I mean, it was like, oh, man, I was jazzed for that. It was fucking awesome. Anyway, on with the film.
Sevens is less interesting. It's one of those things where it was like there was like a family, one dude, and then he named his son like whatever Junior, and they kept doing that. Right. It's like so and so the third, and he's the 7th in the line of people with that name.
Right.
Just whatever.
And then the old dude's talking about how his dad got him to drink wine when he was a kid, and he wondered why it tasted so bitter. And the dad tells him, well, because half of that's your mother's blood.
It's really weird.
Yeah. Kind of a creepy story.
And he's starting to unpack the whole, like, I feel that I'm a woman thing.
Yeah.
And then Milk and Seven just fucking drop.
They drop, yeah. At the same time in unison, bam. And then Frank gets up and he sees that the camera's been recording. He doesn't seem too happy about it. But then we cut to Milk and Cereal in the back of a car.
Wasn't this then when we get the intercut?
We get an intercut that says the night he died.
Yeah. But it backs up, right? Because now we get like the behind the scenes stuff.
Not yet.
Not yet?
Not yet. Because they're in the car, then they're out in the desert. And Frank's got a gun on him. And he's like, I'm going to fucking do myself, but I'm not going to go alone. One of you has to die too.
Yeah, and he puts the gun between them.
Yeah, their hands are tied in front of them. He puts the gun between them and he says, you choose. If you don't, I'm killing both of you. And Milk, like, pretends like he's reaching for the gun, grabs a handful of dirt, throws it in the guy's face.
The old pocket sand.
Old pocket sand, man, never fails. And he says, Seven, shoot him. Seven grabs the gun, shoots. We see blood fly off the corner of the screen. Dude goes down. Seven's like, oh my fucking God, I just shot this guy. Holy fucking shit. Mind.
And then Milk's like, I got you, bro.
I got you, prank. Yeah. And, and Seven's incredulous. And he's like, all this was set up, it's bullshit. What about the gun, And
he's like, I used your gun.
Yeah.
Your blank gun.
And then he's like, this is fucking awesome. This is going to be our best video. But things don't go according to plan.
Yeah, the guy never gets back up. And in fact, the blood is pooling out from under him.
Yes, he is quite dead. And they're like, well, what the fuck are we going to do? And they're like, well, we're not going to go to jail. So let's just bury this fucker and no one has to know anything.
Yeah, because Milk kind of turns it on Seven. And he's like, well, you got the gun from who? Who'd you get the gun from?
Right.
And they kind of, on the fact that he was the sketchy dude in a van, he must have not given them all blanks.
Yeah.
And that's what caused this misfortunate accident.
Right. Precisely.
And so now's when we back up.
Yeah, now we start getting some of the backstory.
Because we cut to some like intercut footage from earlier events where Milk had the camera by himself.
Yes, and he's doing like a confessional kind of thing. It's like the real world or something.
Yeah, it's a good comparison.
And he's talking about how he has been planning something.
Yes. The ultimate prank.
Yeah, for quite a while now he's been planning this. So then we get like, it shows some of the past footage we've seen, explaining what's been going on with from Milk's perspective.
Yeah, we learned that the neighbor is actually an actor that he hired.
He's an actor. His name's actually like Greg, but his son's name is Frank.
Yeah.
Because we get Milk, he's in their apartment hanging out, and he's like showing him their website. He's like, I want to do this prank, and I want you to help me. And his son Frank is like, yeah, do it. You've been sleeping on my couch for like 3 months.
Yeah. And it's one of those things, like, it kind of is like starting to form, and he doesn't really know how he's going to do it until he starts to get wind of like what Seven is doing. And then he's like, oh, I'm going to like cabbage off their prank.
Yeah.
To make this bigger one.
And we get some intercuts. We're showing some scenes from the party, and Milk goes off by himself in the car, and he's like, okay, well, I did something bad again. I stole Laura's jacket.
And he's holding it up in front of the camera, and he's like real like shit-eating grin about it.
He's like, I don't know why I keep doing this.
He's like, I told myself I wasn't going to do this ever again, and here we are. I already got the jacket. It's already started.
Yeah. And then we get the scene where we go flashback, show the dude coming in, the Jason guy. Mm-hmm. And then we get Milk's reaction just by himself. And he's like, oh, this could not have been fucking better. This dovetails so perfect. Nicely into what I've planned. Because that's when Frank, the old dude, comes in and is acting all creepy and weird and shit.
Which then makes the earlier parts interesting because like his flip out was an act.
Yeah.
About the Jason guy.
Right. So then we get Milk back in his car. He's by himself. He's calling Laura. He's saying, hey, we're out bar hopping. We have your jacket. We can just bring it by. And Laura's like, I'll just get it later. He's like, no, we're like a block away.
He says, yeah, Naomi's in the car with me, and she said we're just like a block away, so
yeah, it
would be dumb of us not to bring it to you.
Yeah. So they do so, or he does so, because he's alone. And Laura's like, well, where's Naomi? He's like, she's in the car. And she's like, well, why? And she goes over to the car, but Milk grabs her, chloroforms her. She's out.
Yeah. And then we cut to where he takes her, which is a sort of weird, nondescript. Could be a basement, could be a garage. We don't really know what it is.
Yeah, but he's talking to her, doing the whole serial killer thing. It kind of reminded me of the Poughkeepsie tapes a little bit for some reason.
It's got some of that vibe, and he's got a great fucking mask that he puts on. That's like this. It's like a clear mask, but certain features are drawn on the mask, the eyebrows, and the lips.
Yeah. It's fairly creepy looking.
And he even talks about it too. About he likes it because it keeps a smile on his face.
Yeah, and you can see my eyebrows. You know,
but he likes it. You can still see his eyes through it.
And we also get some of what's sort of his catchphrase here.
Yeah.
What do you mean you don't like it? What do you mean you don't like it?
Which is because apparently for a long time he had been pitching stuff to Seven, and Seven never quite liked his ideas as much.
Yeah. So
he's kind of got a craw in his whole situation here about like the fact that there's like an imbalance between them. Mm-hmm. But yeah, he is like very psychologically kind of tormenting Laura, and he even gets into a thing where she's like, you know, this is just for a prank, right? You're going to let me go. And he just very like stone-faced is like, no, you're going to die. Yeah. He's like, no, I'm sorry. This isn't a prank. No, I'm sorry. Then we get kind of a scene that also flashes back to when Frank was there and tried to kill himself, and it's Milk and Frank. And Milk's like, man, you were great. That was awesome. He's like, where'd you even come up with that? He was like, I don't know. I just got into character. Yeah, kind of the character. And then we see Milk recording himself, and he's got the gun, and he's got some real bullets that he puts in it. Trading them out. Yeah, and I like this scene a lot where he's like holding it to his head, and he's like, you know, should I do it? I could just do it right now. And he's like, I'm afraid to even touch the trigger. And then he starts kind of touching the trigger, holding it to his head. And he's like, what if I just put my finger on the trigger? Yeah, and here's a click, and he's like, ooh! And he's like, oh my God, that was so scary. Yeah. It's fucking great. That's a good scene. He's so, like, sinister, but then, like... kind of goofy and real. And it has this, like, likable streak to him at the same time. Yeah, kind of like an annoying likable. Everyone's got that one friend that's sort of like a complete doofus, but, you know, he's still your friend. After they're around for a while, you're like, oh God, I can't do this anymore. But then once they're gone, you're like, it's cool. So then we get a scene between Milk and Frank, and Frank is like, his real name is Greg, is like, I'm not gonna drug anybody. He's like, yeah, this is too far. Because we're getting to the he's talking about his plan that he's got coming up,
And Milk's like, I do it all the time. We drug each other all the time. I shouldn't even say drug. That's an exaggeration. We're just putting like some sleeping pills in his...
Yeah, he's like, Seven and I have this understanding between us. And if it's for a prank, for the channel, it's okay.
Right.
And finally he tells him like, well, you know what? I'll handle that part. I'll get the wine. I'll set it up. You don't even have to do anything until we knock out, and then you just take us to the spot.
Yeah.
That's all you got to do.
And he's like, all right, fine, whatever.
But he's like, I'm doing this, and then I want my money, and I'm gone.
And and Greg does say, hey, no, and he's for real. He does no cameras at the dinner. I don't want to be caught on camera doing this shit. Mm-hmm. Milk's like, okay, sure.
And then they show more of that scene where they drop, and it's funny because when he notices the camera, he's like, damn it, Milk. I told you not to film.
Yeah. And we get some scenes of Milk fucking with Seven, like he's hiding his wallet and shit like that.
Yeah, just gaslighting him, basically.
Yeah, and he says gaslighting is when you're pranking someone, but they don't know it. They get to the party, they get to his apartment, and they show the scene, because Milk's not actually unconscious. He didn't drink the drug, but Seven actually is. And yeah, Frank's like, God damn it, yeah, I told you no cameras.
But whatever, it's too late now.
And then we catch back up to when they're in the desert talking about what the fuck to do. So they're like, all right, well, we're just going to bury this guy. No one has to know. He's still sitting there recording, though. Let's record our crime. I mean, that's okay. There are some issues of like, why are you recording this? I mean, it
all
makes
they
sense
do
because
is record themselves constantly.
Right, and Milk wants to record it. Mm-hmm. But I mean, if I were Seven, I would be like, I would probably destroy that fucking camera is what I would be doing.
Well, there is a later scene where he tells him to turn it off, and then he like feigns like he does, but he actually doesn't.
Yeah, well, when you're still holding it up like you're recording, I don't know.
But so he's like, yeah, let's just go get some shovels.
Yeah.
Bury him, no problem.
So they go like to Home Depot.
I love this scene.
Yeah, Seven goes in to get the shovels. Milk's out in the car, and he's like, oh shit, there's a cop right over there. There's a cop parked right over there. What the fuck is going on?
Why is there a cop here? And then he's like, oh shit, he's coming over here.
Yeah, so the cop comes over and knocks on the window. And he's like, what are you doing? And Milk's like, nothing. But he's parked in a handicap zone.
Yep. Didn't notice it in his kind of heat of the moment thing.
But of course he's acting all suspicious and weird, and the cop's getting suspicious. And he's like, I'm gonna write you a ticket. And he goes over to his car. And at the meantime, Milk sees Seven coming out of the store, and he's like, no, go back.
He's got bundled in his arms like a tarp, 2 shovels.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, go back in the store.
So Seven's like, what the fuck? He goes back in the store. Cop comes out, gives him the ticket. Then we get a inner title that says March 15th, the day they died.
Yeah.
And they're out digging holes in the desert to bury the dude.
Problem solved.
Yeah, absolutely.
No loose ends. Everything is good.
And then we see him, Milk, doing even more stupid, like he's changing out his pillowcases and stuff like that. Just little minor things just to fuck with him. And Seven's getting more and more despondent.
Yeah, he's still hung up on like the death part. He can't move past that.
Yeah.
Which, like any normal, reasonable person
He's
would.
filled with guilt, and he's like, oh, what are we doing? This is crazy.
We're getting all kinds of like Hitchcock, Poe energy going on.
And Milk's not really acting like he regrets anything. Mm-hmm. And they have a fight in their room at one point. Seven's beating him up. Then we get back to Milk in the torture room with Laura.
Yep.
And apparently she hasn't eaten or drank anything for a few days. And he starts fucking with her, and he's like smashing her head on the concrete floor.
Saying his little catchphrase that he likes.
Yep. So she looks pretty dead at this point.
Yeah.
Or very damn close to it.
And then we get a complication in their little plan. Mm-hmm. Which is that Greg's son,
Frank,
follows up on everything.
Coming by looking for his dad, because he knew about, he was right there. He knows about the whole thing. And they're like, oh, I don't know where he's at. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, we did the prank. We paid him, and Haven't heard from him since.
And they're like, maybe he just, went somewhere. And then Frank's kind of like, yeah, he probably went to Vegas.
Yeah, got some money, ran off to Vegas.
Apparently he's an addict. He likes to gamble.
And they just, yes and right into that.
Mm-hmm.
But this puts them on edge. Because, now they know Frank's looking for his father. Yep. And Milk's like, hey, we have to, do a little more now to cover our tracks.
Yeah, yeah.
So we need to break into that apartment, get his phone, and we'll send a text to Frank and let him know that Greg is in Vegas. And then, whatever happens in Vegas is whatever.
Right.
People go missing in Vegas all the time.
Right.
And that's the end of the story. That's where it ends.
Yep. But it doesn't, of course.
No.
Because things aren't adding up for Frank. He's getting more and more suspicious. He's like, what the fuck are you guys doing? Is this some big prank? I'm tired of it. Stop it. Where's my dad? So it gets to the point where they're like, well, we just got to kill him.
Milk decides that.
Yeah. Milk decides that. And he talks Seven into going to his apartment, something under the pretense of like knowing something about his dad or whatever. And he has him wear these spy glasses. Which is funny because Frank sees it immediately. He's like, those are spy glasses. What are you doing? So Milk's like watching remotely, and once they get...
Because the only way he even talks Seven into it, he's like, you don't have to do anything really.
Yeah, just lure him into the bathroom.
Yeah, lure him to the bathroom, distract him.
It'd be easier to kill him there.
I will kill him.
To clean up the mess.
He's like, I'll kill him. You don't have to do anything. You're just the decoy. And then we'll take care of this, and then it's done.
Yep. And he does manage to lure him toward the bathroom. Almost gets him in there. And Milk runs in and just stabs the fucker right in the neck.
Yeah. Eagerly.
Mm-hmm.
And Seven kind of collapses back into the tub and is like catatonic.
Yeah. And it's a pretty good death scene, too. The guy sells it. He does a good job.
Like spurting on the wall and stuff.
Yeah.
I like it because it really sells like how much there is to clean in that moment, too.
Yeah, right. Things get very messy very quickly. And at the meantime, Naomi and Link are getting kind of suspicious and kind of weird about what's going on.
Yeah, things aren't quite adding up with this whole like Laura breakup thing because they can't find any trace of her.
Right. And they start kind of snooping around because they're like suspecting some sort of epic prank that's on them. They're like, what the fuck's going on? So they're digging around in their bedroom and they find a box underneath Milk's bed. And it's full of like little bottles of blood, vials of blood.
It's another old serial killer trope of keeping trophies.
Yeah. And it has names on them.
And one is Laura.
Right.
So then they get real suspicious and they start digging in further. And they find like a scrap of paper that's got like an address on it.
Yeah.
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 And they're like, "Oh, let's go see what's there. What are they hiding out there?"
Yep.
And still at this point, they're kind of just thinking like, is this like the prank within the prank within the prank,
right?
Or something.
Right. How many levels does this go?
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Milk's trying to clean up the mess, and
Seven's done.
He's checked out. He's sitting in the tub, just checked out. He's like, just kill me, just
and
fucking
Milk's
kill
still
me.
like just egging him on and being like, "Dude, come on, you got to help me.
Yeah.
Clean all this
it's
stuff.
like we're almost out of this. Come on, it's all right."
It's good, dude. He's like, "No, I'm done, Milk. You just turn me in. Say I did everything.
Yeah.
I forced you along. I made you be silent.
Yeah. I'm just done.
I'll take all the blame. You can be free. It's no big deal."
And then Naomi and Link get to the address, and it's this old, dilapidated building.
It's kind of like a trailer almost.
Yeah. And inside they find Laura lying motionless on the floor.
Mm-hmm. And cue epic scream.
Yes. And Milk is explaining more of his plan to the camera, to himself.
Yeah.
And he's like, basically, he's trying to get Seven to kill himself.
Yeah.
But Seven doesn't do that because he's telling all this into the camera, monologuing his great plan.
Yeah. How awesome it is.
And he looks over, and there is Seven pointing the gun at him.
Yeah, I like how it goes into it, too, because he's like, I think we're almost there.
Yeah.
Finally broke him. He's ready to go now.
Yeah.
And he's like, what could be the greatest kill than to convince someone to kill themselves?
Right.
And you didn't even have to do anything.
Yeah. So he looks over there, Seven, bam, Seven shoots him. Camera falls to the ground. We hear another gunshot. And credits.
Mm-hmm.
But also, if you stick around a few seconds, you see someone is picking up the camera.
Yeah. Great little stinger at the end.
So does that mean like the whole thing has been a prank? You know, are neither of them dead? Is it all just...
Or is that like Naomi and Link coming back home?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Or is Milk not dead? You know, did the shot not kill him?
Like, was it a blank?
Or was it... it was a blank. Or was it Seven shooting him twice, you know?
Yeah.
And then going over to get the camera.
It leaves it open to interpretation.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
The end.
The end. Nice, tight, 60 minutes.
Although I must...
Uh-oh, okay.
When that part comes up that says, from the mind of Curry Barker, fucking irritated me. That is fucking irritating.
I mean, it was.
Is it supposed to be? I don't know. I think it was on one of his other short films, too, though.
Yeah, it is.
So I think it's part of his shtick.
Well, because he got it started doing, like, the gag channel, and then he's kind of shifted that into, like, proper filmmaking.
I don't know. Saying something like that bothers me, though.
So, like, you and I didn't know who he was before this, because I don't watch
Me either.
YouTube stuff, really, or follow YouTubers
I don't
or
watch
anything.
that kind of YouTube stuff.
So, to me, that means nothing. But that's also like saying, like, from the mind of John Carpenter. That means something to me, because I know who John Carpenter is.
Right, that's my point. This guy's not fucking John Carpenter. And that's usually producers putting that on their poster.
But if you're a person that watches YouTube shit, and you're into that, and it says from the mind of Curry Barker, you're like, oh,
yeah, but he
guy.
wrote and directed and produced and edited this. He's putting it into himself. It's not a producer. It's not a marketing company that's doing this. He's doing this.
I'll give it to him.
And it's a little pretentious.
I'll give it to him.
I dock it like at least half a star for that.
Damn. Okay.
Yeah, it's really fucking pretentious.
I got a lot of fun notes on this.
Maybe it's supposed to be. Maybe he's trying to needle us. I don't know. If so, mission
he's
fucking
gaslighting
accomplished.
you now.
Maybe he is. Anyway, it's annoying.
He was the writer, director, producer, and editor, cinematographer, composer, and I guess leading star as well. So, I mean, he did do it all. Some more background. So, the dude who played Seven, Cooper Tomlinson, they were friends in film school. And they're the ones that started that sketch channel I talked about.
And you can tell they were really friends.
Yeah.
They have a real, like, you know.
It felt very natural.
Yeah.
But they put videos on YouTube and TikTok all the time. 2023, they did a short film called The Chair that got 5.5 million views on YouTube, and it won a Best Film award at the Los Angeles Short Film Fest.
And that keeps popping up in my algorithm, but I hadn't watched it. I didn't know it was his movie either.
Yeah, so I'm going to give it a watch.
Yeah.
I just haven't got around to it yet. Following the recognition from that and the hype around it, they got some offers to, do films, and they started working on Milk and Cereal. And their plan was to actually release that traditionally with the distributor and do the whole, like, maybe probably direct to streaming, I would guess, because they don't really have like a ton of momentum.
Right.
But
It'd be a Tubi movie or something.
But instead, when it got to the end, they were like, if we do this, it's going to go on a streaming service, and then it's paywalled behind that, and then some people are going to see it, and then some people may never check it out because they'll be like, whatever. Yeah. It's on Shudder, and I don't have Shudder, and whatever. It's Shudder Original.
You put it on YouTube, it's free, everyone can see it, and it becomes your calling card.
And then they're like, this is our first feature. Let's just put it on YouTube. Everyone can watch it. If it blows up, it blows up. If it doesn't, who's to say that's any better or worse than if we had put it on a streaming service?
Yep.
And it did blow up, and it got them a ton of fame, ton of fans. A lot of people came in. People were reviewing it. Bloody Disgusting talked about it. That was how I found out about it. Yeah, and it really kind of sparked a lot of interest for people. The budget was $800. Most of that was spent on hiring one actor and then buying the camera which they used. When they finished it, like I said, they sold that for $100 profit, and that got them closer into the black on their production. He's been extensively interviewed about the film, and I pulled some quotes that he said. So in working on the film, he said, like, in the build-up, I wrote a comedy scene. I wrote this, like, kind of cowboy-themed thing. I wrote all these different scenes of ideas that could become movies. And I wrote one serial killer scene because I thought I could pull off this kind of creepy serial killer vibe that would work. It was the scene with a guy telling a girl this isn't a prank, and that he's really going to kill her at the end of the night, and that she is going to die, and this is the end. And it was just a reel I made to kind of promote myself and my filmmaking. But I thought, I could really stretch this out and turn it into something. It could be this sort of found footage movie. And he was down in Tennessee, working on a film shoot. And he kind of had this thought of when I get back, you and me, we need to do this. This is something here we should do.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a 4-month shoot. They brought in a lot of their friends to play a lot of the roles, which I think, again, that helps the sort of
sure.
This felt like a friend circle that functioned and worked. And it was one of those things they would just they had a free weekend. They would get together and they would work on it. And then when everyone was busy, they were busy and they just kind of sat on it and
get who they can when they can.
Plugged away till they finished it. The first 2 weeks it was out, it racked up about 400,000 views. Got tons of discussion on social media and places like Reddit. I think Our Horror had a big blow up about it, really talking about it, discussing it. And their discussion on it, Bloody Disgusting, called it one of the year's best kept secrets that everyone should check out. And then he started getting interviews. A lot of these quotes I pulled was from an interview with Variety, so some high profile stuff. Talking about it to Variety, he said, even though we worked really hard for a year trying to get distribution for it, in the end we did go with YouTube. And it's been crazy for us. All of a sudden you're seeing videos that are talking about Alien Romulus in theaters now, but also go on YouTube and check out Milk and Cereal.
It's our fucked up times.
Which feels very surreal. He said, before I always felt that to be respected, you needed to have a, quote, real movie. And that real movie has to go to theaters or be on Netflix or Shudder or Hulu or whatever. And what's impressed me is that this was sort of a gamble, but people do respect it. And they respect the fact that it is free and it's just out there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like a calling card. Let's see. He said that the freedom of self-distribution let him sort of modify the project on his own terms. He really took that to heart when it came to the end part of production, and then he got it into the editing bay, and it was really where he could drill down and actually cut and paste and make everything exactly meticulously the way he wanted. And it was one of those things where he sort of had a realization, if we had went with a distributor, there could be a person above me that's saying no, you need to do this. You need
sure,
to do that.
Absolutely, yeah. Especially for a first time.
And so the fact that he could really make it that personal.
Mm-hmm.
He also said that there is an hour and 25-minute cut of the movie, and that was almost what they put out there. And right before they were going to launch it on YouTube, he kind of had this feeling about it and made another cut, and they trimmed it down exactly to 60 minutes. And then when they reviewed that, they were like, no, this is it. This is the perfect version.
I think that's a good call. I mean, I don't know what the 125 looks like, but no, that was a good call.
He said, I just knew it needed to be quicker. He says, in all our videos, I've been more of an editor, and I was just watching it, and I thought, no, this beat, it needs to go faster. It needs to happen sooner.
I can respect that.
It can't drag here. It needs to speed up.
A director doesn't always have the eye of an editor, so it's good that he can be that brutal with his own movie.
And he said, and there's no real, quote-unquote scenes that I cut. It was mostly just trimming fat, and I think because it's a found footage movie, that made it okay to be a little choppy at times when it would cut scene to scene, but still have all the beats involved.
You gotta kill your darlings. It's good he knows that.
Very true. And so, like I said, this is going really good, and he's already working on new stuff now. Apparently, he's currently casting for a feature called Obsession. James Harris, who's worked on stuff like Fall and 47 Meters Down, is attached to his one of his production things, T-Shop Productions. They're kind of linking up with them to work on things.
Did you ever see Fall?
I did not know.
It's always watching. It's good.
47 Meters Down, I'm not going to check that out because
I did. It was pretty boring. I didn't like that one very much.
And speaking of this new production, he said, I've never had a budget in my life in any of the stuff we've done, but he's looking forward to seeing what he can do with some force behind him. And, depending on how that goes, hopefully that's the start of a career, but it's like everything. Hollywood, you never know.
So true.
And that's pretty much all my background stuff. I don't know if you got any extra.
Yeah, I'm not really. You hit everything. I mean, it's so new. It's so new.
There's not a lot. Yeah. So what'd you think, man?
I liked it.
Docking it a half star.
I liked it. Yeah, I didn't love it. I have to admit, I did not love it.
Okay.
I liked it. Pros. The length is perfect.
Yes.
It did not need to be any longer.
Very good.
Didn't need to be any shorter. Perfect length. Great length. It moved along in a nice clip. I think he's a good editor. I think he needs
Very.
to keep that mentality as he keeps
sure.
going.
Because it's easy to get indulgent and then
Right.
just...
A lot of directors just too busy flating themselves. They don't know when to fucking cut. I like... Everyone seems pretty genuine. And I think that Corey Barker makes a good, like, serial killer.
Oh, yeah.
I think he has that kind of unhinged quality, you know, because he looks... Because he's very kind of bland. You know, he's not really handsome. He's not really ugly. He's just bland. Milk is a good nickname for him, you know.
And it works because you get used to like the goofity him, and then when he shifts, it really feels like a progression that's interesting.
But that was also one of my complaints. Because as soon as it became a serial killer movie and it tipped its hand as quickly as it did, I was a little disappointed. Now, is that unfair? Probably, because I'm wanting one type of movie, but this isn't that movie, you know, and that's unfair of me. But I was kind of, because when I read the description about like kind of like pranks getting out of control, I had this idea in my head. I'm like, oh, that sounds fun, you know, like something like this, just this unstoppable progression where things just get worse and worse and worse, and I love that kind of a movie. And it obviously wasn't going to be that. Okay. But I got to judge it on what it is.
What do you mean you don't like it?
Yeah. And I do like it. I do like it. I guess I was hoping for more dread. I think that's a good thing that a lot of found footage movies can do. They can really instill a sense of dread because things are supposed to be like, you know, real. But I didn't get that kind of rising crescendo that I wanted.
Because the big decision they've made that I think you're not as keen on is that they show you the behind part. Yeah. Where like before everything plays out, Milk kind of clues you in on everything.
Right. And it's a little deflating in some ways. Because, I don't know, I kept thinking about like the old, what's that, April Fool's Day? Not April Fool's Day. Yeah. Which wasn't a great movie, but how everything like wasn't real or whatever.
April Fool's Day just pisses me off.
Oh, it pisses me off too. It pisses the fuck right out of me. But I don't know. There was something about the whole serial killer angle I didn't like as much as what I thought I was going to get going in.
Sure. Okay.
Again, that's probably a me problem. But it is executed very well. It's acted well. It's some amateurish parts, but it also kind of plays to these characters.
Okay.
You know, I never got the impression it was like a real kind of YouTube channel thing, though. I don't know, because like I think I had trouble deciding on its own format. Because it had to be like edited together by somebody. Yeah. And when you're talking about a found footage movie, you have to get into the whole verisimilitude.
Where's
like,
this video coming from?
Why are they filming? Who assembled it? You know, what the fuck is this? Because it's not just one uninterrupted, you know, recording. Right. And so you're like, okay, who cut this together? Why?
Maybe whoever picked up the camera.
Right. You know, which makes me think that Milk is still alive or something, and he put this together.
I got you, bro. Would that have been a more satisfying ending if it picked up and the camera turned and it's Milk and
maybe I don't know. It's almost a Fade to Black gunshot ending. You know, it's almost like a film school ending. I wanted to like it more than I did. I think that's what irritates me the most. Okay. I'm not saying it's not good.
Sometimes a near miss can hurt more than just a straight miss.
Especially for like a cheap production, a guerrilla production. You know, they're doing it all themselves, which I fucking appreciate. I love that he's doing all this basically himself with his friends.
And the YouTube release, man, that's like a big brass balls move.
It is, and I respect that. I respect the hell out of that.
Because that could have just come out and came and gone and no one talked about it, and there you go.
And I hope some studio doesn't offer him a bunch of money and they do a big budget version of this that's going to be an hour and 45 minutes long and be played by big recognizable stars. Because that's the thing that this does right. I mean, it has to. They don't have big stars. But I hate it when a found footage movie has recognizable actors in it.
Oh, you don't think like in 2 months the Speak No Evil people should remake it like they did the other one.
That's a fear I've got.
Also, fuck that remake, by the way.
I haven't even seen it, but yeah, fuck that remake. Everything I hear about the ending is exactly what we talked about, what we feared.
Let's completely miss the point of the original. And just gut everything.
At the end of the day, I give this movie 3.5 stars.
Hey, that's still pretty good
No,
for you.
it is good. It is good. I think it's a good movie. I don't think it's like the best thing ever. It didn't blow me away. But it's a good, solid, fun, found footage movie.
Cool.
And for the price, you can't go wrong.
Can't beat free.
And I am interested in seeing what they do next.
Yeah, for sure.
So what did you think, man?
I was a lot warmer to it than you. I thought it was super fresh, super smart, super well done. I don't like YouTuber people, so anything that pokes fun at that, I appreciate. Again, Deadstream is a good comparison.
It's case by case, man.
I just like the little like pocket this film was working in. I think of stuff like Creep and Creep 2. I think of Man Bites Dog. I think of...
You are comparing this to some fucking big hitters, man.
I think of some Koji Shiraishi stuff, like A Cult or A Record of Sweet Murder, where you've got, there's a camera, you're following someone who's slightly unhinged. They're kind of drawing you into this chaos that they're creating.
You're putting this movie in very high company.
And I think it deserves to sit there because this is super smart, super fresh.
Yeah, I saw your Letterboxd rating.
On a low budget, it did so much. It knew what it needed to do. It knew what it needed to be. There's no egregious effects or weird stuff. The acting is natural, even if there are amateurs involved. They bought a camera to use for it, and they're locked in on that camera, both its benefits and its drawbacks. Some of the night shots were a little fuzzy because that's the fucking camera, and that's the camera these characters had.
That adds to it.
And that's how you make good found footage. Is you don't have like a shot on red and then you just put in some filters. Like
right. Yeah, I fucking hate that too.
That's questionable. But yeah, I just thought it was so smart. It was so cool. I like the transformation of Milk's character as they kind of peeled back the layers from this kind of like obscure jokester guy to like the real thing underneath. And I like the way they lampshaded it with stuff like the animal killing. Mm-hmm. That's one of those things. If you are like a true crime fan, you see that and you're like,
yeah, you perk up.
I wonder. And then some of it, like, there's a lot of tension between Milk and Seven, and some of it they don't even unpack in the film. It's just kind of inferred, like the whole, like, what do you mean you don't like it?
Yeah.
Like, you can tell that just fucking sticks in his craw, and he is just obsessed over that, and that's driven him to this point. And, like, it's not right and it's not fair, but it is what it is because he's fucking crazy. And I just thought it was, really cool, really fresh. In a sea of us getting films that are very bland and like a Beetlejuice, where it just like takes this big property and underperforms.
Yeah, what IP can we exploit?
It excites me when someone makes something that's new, original, and it feels very fresh and very fun. I just fucking loved it, man, top to bottom. Gave it 5 stars. Waited for you to cringe when you saw it.
I did see that. I was a little surprised.
Relish the fact.
I was a little surprised.
Yeah, I mean, it's good. And here's the thing. It's on YouTube, so you decide. You go check it out.
Yeah.
We'll link it in this show notes for this episode.
It's just going to take an hour of your time. No money.
I mean, even if you don't like it, that's such a small investment. Think of other things you've watched that were longer.
Yeah.
You're just like, I wasted
way
my time.
worse. Yeah.
I give you the genre exposure guarantee. It will not be a waste of time. You may not like it, but it will not waste your time.
If you don't like it, we will refund your money.
Yes. So all that said, big props to Curry Barker. Great job, man. Great job to everyone involved in this film. You guys really made something cool. And I wish you all the best in whatever you do going forward.
Oh, yeah.
Then we will definitely be watching. So
that's right.
Well, that's a fun little episode. Glad to be back in the saddle. Hopefully I remain healthy and free from sickness for the rest of the year, but we'll see what happens.
Let's hope so.
But we are in the October times. Yes. Where are we going next, Jason?
Well, we're going to have a little fun on the next one. We are going to talk about movies that actually scare us.
Yeah, for the rest of October, we're not going to do a usual, like, focus on one film thing. We're going to do some more, like, broader topic-y type stuff.
Have some fun for the Halloween season. But yeah, we're going to talk about movies that either genuinely scared us when we were younger or genuinely scare us now.
Yes. Because that's part of the fun of Halloween is being scared and letting yourself be scared. And
when you're a big horror fan, you all know that becomes harder and harder to actually be scared.
Yes, you become desensitized.
Yeah. So we need to celebrate those things that actually do manage to creep us out.
We do. And, you can write in and let us know what scares you as well. We're always happy to learn.
And exploit those weaknesses.
Exploit your weaknesses.
You fools.
But no, it's going to be fun. And you can write in, let us know what you think of Milk and Cereal. Let us know what scares you, what movies give you the heebie-jeebies even today. We want to know, and we will share ours next time.
Yep.
So that
we'll expose our fears.
It'll be eternally submitted into recorded audio that anyone can find and exploit however they wish. But you can let us know what's up with you by hitting us up on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter. You can email us at genreexposure@gmail.com. We love you guys. Just write in, talk to us.
Thanks for listening.
Tell us what you're doing.
We appreciate it.
It's cool. And we hope that this is the start of a very happy October for you as you enjoy the month-long celebration of Halloween.
That's right. Happy Halloween, motherfuckers.
Hell yeah. But all that said, you have been listening to Genre Exposure.
Bye, everyone.
Take care.
You're listening to the Prescribed Films Podcast Network, home to hundreds of hours of free podcast entertainment. The shows on this network all have a common goal, providing you with the best discussions about movies and other forms of entertainment media. The PFPN hopes to fill your earholes with audio joy. Visit our website with links to all the other amazing shows at www.thepfpn.com. Thanks for listening.